Hey everyone, welcome to SMI Hub. My name is Julie, and today I'll be showing you how to complete your study permit application forms. This video is based on popular demand, and first I will start by showing you the checklist. So you need to gather all of these documents for your application, and this checklist just basically lets you know that you have all the required documents. So you will need application for study permit made outside of Canada. So this video is for those that are applying from outside Canada, not the study permit extension. If you are extending your study permit, you will need to fill the form application for study permit made within Canada. It's a different form. So as I said, this video is for you guys that are applying from outside, and I hope you really find it useful. So you need to fill the IMM 1294 form, and you can find this online by just searching in Google. Just type in IMM 1294, and I will show you how to complete this today. Then you also need to complete your family information form if you're 18 years or older and you'll be traveling to Canada, or if you are a minor traveling alone. Okay, and then you also have the statutory declaration of common law union. So this is for those people that are in a common law union or relationship. You need to fill that form. And then there is the use of a representative form, that's IMM 5476, and this is for those that are going to use agents. So if you are using an agent, you need to complete this form to authorize the person to submit an application on your behalf. And it's very important you do this. In the eventuality of a mistake or an error, you have a form, you have a proof that you did not do the application yourself. And then there is the authority to release personal information to a designated individual. This is for those that are unable to complete the application themselves, but not an agent now, like they are using a family member or something, and they're making use of that person, and they are releasing all their information to that person. So in that case, you have to complete this form. And then there's the custodianship declaration form for those that are completing the form for their children or their ward. So if you're completing the form for a minor, you need to fill this form. So as I said, this is not this is not an inclusive list. You don't have to submit everything. You just have to pick the ones that apply to you. Okay, so the next one is the document list. So you have to pay your fee. For those that will be applying online, the document you have to complete is the same, but the difference is that you're going to pay online. So you must make sure that you have a means of payment, either the Visa card, your credit card, debit card, or something. Just make sure you have that. And for those that will be submitting a paper application in your regional Canadian office, make sure that you bring it cash. I'm not sure if some of them have POS, but I think some centers will have POS. Just make sure you call ahead of time or check their website ahead of time to confirm the means of payment that is available. You don't want to be turned back after getting in. And then you need a photocopy of the information page of your valid passport or travel document that includes the passport number, the issuance and expiry dates, your photo, your name, your date and place of birth. All of this can be found on the data page of your passport. Okay, and then you need if you're going to be submitting online, you won't have to present your passport at the point of submitting your application, but you will need to present it later on when they make a passport request from you. And then you need 2 photographs meeting the requirement of the visa application photograph specification. All of this will be confirmed at the regional office. That's if you are submitting in person, in paper. But if you are doing online, you just need some digital pictures. You don't need to submit a hard copy of your pictures. So now on to the document. Let's just go ahead. So as I said, this is application for study permit made outside of Canada form. and I'm just going to start. So UCI, it's a number that is given, unique client identification that is given if you've ever interacted with the Canadian government before. So if you've either made an application for maybe a visit visa or a refugee claimant or whatever, you would have this UCI. But if you are a first time applicant, you won't have a UCI and you just need to leave this place blank. So let's assume you've applied before and you have a UCI number. And then here you choose, okay, so here you choose this, how you want the service. Is it in English or in French? I'm choosing English here. And then here you write your full name and make sure you put your family name here. So let's say the person's family name is Doe, and then the person's first name is Jane, and then the middle name is Anne. Make sure you write it exactly as it's shown on your passport. If you've ever changed your name before, this is where you write the previous name. So if you change your surname from Dane to Doe, then make sure you put it there. And then if you've not changed your name, you don't have to complete this part of the form. This is for those that have changed their names. Okay, then we move to the next one. Here you put in your sex, male, female, let's say female, and then date of birth, let's say 1990, and let's say April, and let's say 1st. Okay, and then city or town, let's say Cape Town. Okay, and your country or territory, let's say South Africa. So let's say South Africa. I'm sure you click the correct one. And then your citizenship, of course, will also be South African because you're from South Africa. So make sure you put in the correct thing. So for citizenship, you put in where you're from, your country of origin. And here, let's just say St. Kitts and Nevis. And then we move to the country of residence. So this is where you're currently living. So let's say you are currently living in the Bahamas, and then your status in the Bahamas. So you see this person actually is from St. Kitts and Nevis, sorry, but is presently living in the Bahamas. So if you are living in your country of origin, you don't have to change it. You write what you wrote here, write the same here. So now status, you have to state the status of where you're living currently. Are you a citizen there? Are you a visitor there? Are you a worker there? So just make sure you put that. And if you are a visitor, you have to say from when to when. Okay, so you have to say the date when you started being a visitor and the date when your visit visa will expire. That's the day, or the day you plan to leave, whichever comes first. Okay, and now here you write the countries or territories that you've lived in other than your country for the past for more than 6 months. So if you've traveled to a country before but you only spent 3 months, you don't have to write it here. This space is only for those that have traveled to a country and spent over 6 months. Be careful with this, because whatever country you put in here, you will need to get a police report from that country. So whatever country you put in here, you need to get a police report. And also remember to write when you started living in that country and when you ended your stay in that country, if you've left. Okay, so we move to the next one, and that's country or territory we're applying. So if it's the same as where you're currently living, that's your country of residence, click yes, and the computer is just going to blur it out. And then your current marital status, if you're single, divorced, common law. So let's say you're married, and when did you get married? So you want to write your wedding date here. So let's say you got married on May 1st of this year. Okay, and here be careful, you have to provide the name of your spouse here. So Jane Doe is married to Mr. Doe. So let's say Jane Doe is married to John Doe. Okay, so Jane is married to John Doe. and make sure you write the middle name if he has. So let's say he's married to John Malcolm, or I don't even know, let's say John Max Doe. Okay, so we move on. So this next section, section 11, says, have you previously been married or in a common law relationship? So if you've previously been married before your current marriage, that means you were divorced then, and then you are married now again, you have to put yes. But if you've never been married, if this is your first and only marriage, you put no. Okay, and then you move to so all of this field is just for the partner, the previous partner, if previously divorced or previously in a common law. So after you click yes, you have to put the partner's name, ex-partner now, ex-partner's name, ex-partner's given names, and all of that. Now languages, here you put in your mother's tongue. It's different from official language. Take note of that. So in my case, Yoruba is my mother's tongue. So I'll look for Yoruba. I'll look for Yoruba in the drop down, and Yoruba is here. And then, can I communicate in English and or French? I can communicate in English. If you can communicate in both of them, then you have to write which one are you most at ease. So the one in which you are most proficient. Then we move to your test. So have you taken a test before? If you've taken an IELTS or a TOEFL or whatever, make sure you put yes or no. And we move to the passport. Here you have to be very careful in filling the correct passport number. So you have to put the passport number and then country of issue. So if you look at the data page of your passport, you will see your country of issue. Let's say it's Nigeria, that's where I'm from. Okay, and issue date, let's say the issue date, it was issued on the issue came on August 1st 2021, and then it's going to expire sometimes next year. So let's just say sometimes next year, June. So the issue was on last year, and then it will expire next year. So for this trip, will you need a passport from a Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Taiwan? If that applies to you, say yes. If not, click no. And will you need a national Israeli passport? If that applies, click yes or no, as the case may be. Now we move to national identity document, and here it's asking if you have a national identity document, yes or no, or whatever the case may be. If yes, you have to put the document number, country of issue, the date of issue, and the expiry date. If no, the computer is going to blur it out for you. It will blur it out for you. And then we have the USPR card. Are you a US green? Are you a US permanent resident? Do you have a green card? If yes, click yes. If no, click no. And if yes, then you have to put in the document number and the expiry date. Make sure you fill this field, because it has sensitive information. It has your passport number and all the necessary things that we need to evaluate your application. Now for contact information, this is your personal contact information, not your host's contact, because they might need to mail something to you, which is really rare. They usually make use of your IRCC account or your email, but just make sure you put in the correct thing. So if you have a PO box, this is for those of you that have a PO box, put in your PO box number and put in your the address of the PO box, okay, and then the street name, and then the town, and then the country of residence, say in Haiti, and then the state, postal code, and district. Note that if you have put in your PO box, you also need to put in your residential address. So if you say it's gonna ask, is it the same as mailing address, and that's for you to answer. If you don't have a PO box but you only have a residential address, then you don't have to fill this place. Just come down to number 2 and say yes, your residential address is the same, and there's an error because you filled in a PO box. So if you don't have a PO box, don't bother to fill this. Just make sure you only fill in the residential portion of it. Okay, so you're just going to fill in this part, and then you click that residential address is the same as email address. Okay, And then we move to your personal information, your telephone number. You click other because you're applying from outside Canada. If it's in the US, then you click this, but because you're applying from outside Canada and US, you click other. And then if you have, so here you put in, is it cellular, is it residential, or is it a business line? And make sure you put your country code. So let's say you're from Nigeria, the country code is 234, and then you put your phone number. Okay, if you have an extension, you want to put it there. And if you have another phone number, a spare, then put it here. And this is a very important portion. Write your email address clearly. Okay, so whatever your email address is, write it clearly. And then we move to details of intended study in Canada, name of school. So you put in, okay, so that's because I didn't complete this. So it's so important. That's why the computer is alerting you to. I'm just putting a fictitious address there. Now I've been accepted. This is where you put the details of your school, and here you want to write the name of the school, and then here you want to write your level of study. Is it primary, secondary, college? Is it a master's? Is it university? Is it a college? Is it whatever? Just put it there. And then your field. So here you might not get the exact field. Just make sure you put in what the most related. So let's say you are studying architecture or building, this is still more related. Architecture. If you are studying building construction, this is still more related to it. And then make sure you put the complete address, the province if it's Newfoundland, and the city, and then the address, and then the DLI. The DLI is always on the admission letter, and it always starts with an O. So check your admission letter. It starts with an O, and the rest are numbers. Okay, so check it and fill that in there. Your student ID will also be on your admission letter, and put that in. And then put your start date of your program, and the day you are your anticipated end date. And then you put your cost of study. So here you want to, our advice for your tuition, of course, put in the cost, the total cost for your tuition. And then here you put in your room and board. Okay, so I think you can just put in your first year. So for tuition, put in your first year. So if it's 4,000 per year, put in 4,000. And then room and board, make sure you put in 10,000, because that's what Canada requires for your room and board. So that will suffice. And then if you have other expenses that you think, well, I think it's just best to put it at this. So this is like a minimum number. And then for your funds available, all the funds you have, make sure you add everything up and put it here. So if you have 50,000 in total, then you want to put 50,000. And you put your sponsor. Will it be paid by yourself, and will it be paid by your parents or whatever? Put that in. Now education. Here you want to talk about your education history. So any education you've had after secondary school or after high school, either college or university or apprenticeship training. If you've had anything after high school, click yes, and then you will see the year you've had it. So from, if it's a master's, from 2000 and whatever to 2020. And then field and level of study, you will type this in. So if it's architecture and postgraduate or MSc architecture, put it here, and put the school name here, and put the country of where the school is, the city or town where the school is. So we move over to the employment section, and here in the employment section, you have to be very careful because it can be very tricky. Okay, so the major thing is that you make sure that this is where you put in your current employment. So whatever you put in here should be the beginning of the employment you currently hold. Let's say you started this current employment in 2021, October, And let's say you're a teacher. We'll deal with this part later. Let's deal with the from and to first. So let's say you started 2021 October, and then you must make sure you end it at the current date you're filling this application form. So let's say it's today's date. We're in the month of May 2022. So this must tally with the day you sign your application form. And this was the beginning of your current employment. I hope this is clear. And then the second part is the previous activity. Now you want to make sure that you start from the beginning of the job you had before this current job. So let's say the beginning was in 2019 and it's April, and then it ended 2021, which is the beginning of your current job. You just make it seamless. So when you end this, should be the beginning of this, because there shouldn't be any gap. You must state what exactly you were doing. It doesn't have to be a job. You might be schooling, or you might be on maternity leave or whatever. So just make sure you state whatever you are doing currently and make sure that it's seamless. So this is the beginning. You see 2021-10, that's the beginning of your current job. So that makes sense. And then you move to the least recent, and it should start at exactly 10 years from today's date. So today is May 2022. So this should be exactly 10 years. That's May 2012. For you guys that will be submitting paper application, if you don't do it like this, they are going to return your form and tell you to correct it, and you have to start reprinting, and it's always so expensive to print in their centers there. So that's why it's good to get it correct from now before you go and submit. And for those of you online, just be careful to fill this correctly. Those people that are doing online application. So this should be exactly 10 years from today's date. Okay, and then it should end at the beginning of your previous employment. So your previous employment starts April 2019, so it should end April 2019 as well. So what is the main thing here? The main thing here is that you make sure, sorry, I don't know why that is making noise. Okay, so the main thing here is that you make sure that this is exactly 10 years from your starting date, which is this. And also make sure that you have this number 1 field as your current job, and then this as the previous one, and then this as the least recent. And make sure that the date you put here once again is exactly 10 years from this date. And now for the other field, you put in your current activity, your company, your city, town, country, province. I think it is straightforward enough. And then the same for this other field. But in a situation where you are doing more than 2 things during a period, so let's say between 2012 and 2019, you were a student, and then you also worked for 2 years after your studies. So let's say you were a student for 2 years, so you can just write student and then plus maybe you were a researcher after you were done, so student plus researcher, and then just write the names of the 2 companies and write the city and country. Just sort of merge it together, because there are only 3 fields for this, so you can only fill 3 things. So merge it together as much as you can, but just make sure that this is the current job and this is a standalone job showing what you're doing currently, so you can merge in these other 2 fields. I hope I'll that go to the last enough. Part. This is background information, and this is just the medical stuff, right? If you've ever had tuberculosis or someone has had it in your family, if it applies. If you have any mental disorder, if it applies. Have you ever have you ever remained beyond the validity of your status? Very important. If you've ever done it, please put yes. Don't tell lies, because it's going to bounce back on you. So you don't want to do it. No. And then, have you been refused the visa? No crime in being refused the visa previously. No crime in that. So if that's the case, click no. Click yes. If you've been refused before, please make sure you don't withhold information. And have you ever previously applied to enter or remain in Canada? This can be anything: visit, study, whatever. If you've ever applied before, click yes. And here, have you ever been arrested before? If no, or yes, click yes, whatever the case may be. Have you ever served in the military or in a civil defense unit? If you've done anything like that, then click yes. And if yes, then you have to provide the details of where you served, the date of service, and the countries or territories where you served. These are straightforward portions of the form. And then you say if you've ever been associated with any political party that engaged in criminal activity at any time. And if you've ever, just make sure you read this and answer the question. And then after you are done, you're going to click yes or no. If you want Canada to send you emails, survey emails and all of that, you can click yes. You don't have to if you don't want it. And then here you're going to sign. Make sure you sign, and you can use your Adobe to sign, and your Adobe Acrobat. That's what I always use. It makes it very easy to sign. If you can't do it electronically, you can leave this and print it off and then sign it by hand. If you're going to be submitting paper, you will need to submit hard copy anyway. But if you're online, if you're filling this online, you don't have to sign it, because you're still going to sign before submitting the form, before the form is transmitted. I mean, before your application is transmitted. So you don't need to sign. You can put in the date here. So today's date is 4th of May. So you put in the date, and then you validate the form. This is very important. So when you click validate, you will see here, because I didn't fill the form properly, so there are issues with the form. But in your case, after you finish clicking validate, it will show 4 barcodes. That shows that it has been validated, because they're going to read these barcodes while treating your application. So make sure you validate it before you print it off or submit it, whatever. So now we'll move to family information form. You also have to fill this form, and this is a very straightforward form. You just have to write the names of your family members. Here you write your name, you are the applicant. Write your name, put your marital status. There are different options. Put your country of birth, your date of birth, and then your occupation. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, make sure you put your occupation. And if the person is dead, like if you have a father that is dead, here you want to put in that he is deceased. So you just put deceased and put the town where he died and the country and the date. And here you want to talk about if the person will accompany you. That means, is the person applying along with you? It does not mean that is the person going to come after you are there. That's a different application. This actually applies to your current application. So if you're applying right away with your spouse, then you click yes. But if you are not applying with them at the moment, then you click no, even if you are going to bring them later in the future. I hope that is clear enough. So make sure you fill this correctly. It's very straightforward. Here you have the section where you fill in your children. So include all your sons, your daughters, all adopted and stepchildren, regardless of their age or where they live. Okay? And if you are single and you don't have a spouse, make sure you sign that you don't have a spouse and date it. Be careful if you are married, because this can haunt you if you come back and want to apply for your spouse. So fill this correctly. And then here you fill in if you don't have any child, either natural, adopted, or stepchildren. You sign off and you put the date. Okay? And then you certify that all the things you've put here are correct, and you put the date. And that's the end of it. I hope I have been able to show you everything and that you are very clear with the study permit form. Till the next time on this channel, remember this channel is a place where you get all resource for making your application. So I'll be talking about everything. I'm talking about visit visa, I'll be talking about express entry. Just stay tuned. Okay. All right, thank you so much for joining. If you love my channel or if you like my content, don't forget to please give me a thumbs up and to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.